Chapter 1, An End and New Beginning. Hello, I am writing a novel for the first time. So I decided to write a fantastic Harry Potter fiction. Since I really like history. Volume 1, The Ascension of House Dovahkiin and the Beginning of the Second Wizarding War. Chapter 1, An End and New Beginning. Somewhere in the void, surrounded by darkness, there was a small light and it glowed a little around it. The most unique thing about the little light is that it twisted many times. But suddenly, the soul reacted. It took a while to adapt to the void, and since it did not know where it was and tried to remember. Where was this sight? What was your name? Did she have a family? But he did not remember anything. He only had the vague feeling that he had forgotten something important in his life, and yet he did not remember it. But he remembered things, like a college education, many books he read, movies he watched, and even remembered novels and anime. I felt strange, but I came to the conclusion that he had died very old. Suddenly, where I was standing went blank, and there was a man, sitting on a magnificently beautiful golden throne. He instantly thought that this man was a superior being and was going to judge him for his sins. "Hello, my son, I see that you are adjusting very well to your situation," he says in a deep but pleasant voice of the higher self. But suddenly, he recognized the higher being that he saw was. "Are you Morgan Freeman?" the voice asks the surprised soul. Morgan smiles at me, a funny smile on her face. "No, I am not, my son, but I borrowed this representation and because I really like Morgan's films." "Well, before you can say anything else, let me explain why you are here. First, you are free from sin. Second, all your personal memories were erased, since you lasted a long time in the cycle of souls and you will only feel a vague memory. And third, you were on your way to reincarnate. But I brought you because I need your help," explains Morgan with a friendly smile. The sphere of light turns on and off, as if you are thinking about the words you just heard. "But why do you need my help?" "I am just a simple mortal and I am very sure that I am someone very normal," says the voice of El Alma. Morgan makes a happy smile and explains to me. "Well, my son, you are not normal at all. Your soul is very strong, and with the help of your imagination it was strengthened with all those novels, movies, anime and etc. It gave you a lot of strength from a certain energy, which I call the energy of imagination, and it nurtured your soul on an unconscious level, and that's why I chose you," Morgan says seriously. "And what do you need from me?" asks the voice of El Alma. "I want you to help me expend energy from the imagination of the earth," responds Morgan, and continues saying, "Since believing in something, with great intensity, gives you access to the energy of faith and makes what you imagine very real." Morgan thinks of something and says, "By doing that, you create a universe and a dimension, where from that universe, it accumulates all that energy of the imagination to create itself, and it is a very beautiful process. I'm sure you'd like to see it one day," says Morgan, thinking about the process of creation, and continues saying, "But that's where you come in, since the energy of imagination accumulates until it is saturated and returns naturally to the earth, and to avoid that happens, you have to spend it doing something like reincarnating or transmigrating someone to one of the worlds of the imagination." "And what do I have to do?" asks the soul. "I can see that you are still very analytical and not very talkative, even without your memories of your last life." Hehehe, "Well, my son, all you have to do is go to one of these worlds of imagination and live in it for the rest of your life, and you are not allowed to travel to other worlds. You will be granted 3 wishes of your choice and you can choose to transmigrate or reincarnate in the world of your choice," says Morgan. "Well, that's a lot to process, and let me think for a moment. Millimeter, well, it's fine, I've decided and I'm going to do it, says El Alma decisively. Perfect, now declare your requests. Morgan asks. Well, but first a question, if I choose to transmigrate, what does it entail? Asks the soul. Well, it depends on your request and what you want to add to your reincarnation. First, I can recreate your body according to your criteria. Second, I can create a history or background about your body. And third, I can send you to an existing body of your choice. It all depends on what you choose, Morgan generously replies. I have decided, I want to transmigrate to the world of Harry Potter. I want to have a Breton and British pure-blood status. I want my name to be Maximilian Stephen Dovahkian, my noble house. He is a reserved pure-blood family and does not like to interact with other families. My family is very wealthy and they seldom flaunt their wealth. The children of House Dovahkian go out into the world at the age of 17 to train, explore and see many places, and they return to the family after 3 years. The Dovahkian family was massacred by Voldemort, because he wanted to know the secrets of the family, but the members of the family are very cautious and keep family secrets in the language of ancient dragons. It is not revealed to strangers. I say my requests. Morgan looks at me with a face that didn't expect my request, but immediately smiles at me. Well, Max, that is a great transmigration, and what more do you want? Morgan asks. I want to be very attractive, handsome and elegant, with a well-endowed physique, well-trained with pink and reference muscles, like an Olympic swimmer. Eyes, golden like the purest gold, hair, golden and skin, healthy white. Please make my great friend, make it big as I want to be able to satisfy my wife. Morgan laughed out loud. Ha 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 ha. That can be arranged. Tell me, what timeline do you want to start? Morgan asks. I want to start at the airport in England, on the 7th of April, 1969, and that, by chance, that same day is my birthday. Since I was born on the 7th of April, 1949, and I am 20 years old. I respond and continue for my body background. My Gringotts account manager called me to inform me that my family died and yet cannot return at that time, because he had to fulfill the Dovahkian family tradition and spend 3 years outside the country. Well, that makes it easier. Now tell me, what are your 3 wishes? Morgan asks. Well, my first wish, I want the Library of the Way of Heaven, or in my case the Library of the Way of Magic, if you can call it that, I say, expressing my first wish. Morgan thinks a bit and evaluated the changes my desire would cause in my new world. Finally decided. It can certainly be granted. Your second wish? Morgan asks. My second wish, I want to have all the books, magic, muggle and all the knowledge on various subjects, through the entire history of the Harry Potter world, and keep it updated, through magic, I say with crossed fingers. Morgan evaluates a bit, but this time it is more quickly he decided and answered me. Granted. Your third and final wish? Morgan asks. For my third wish, I want instant mastery, I say with a smile. Morgan opens his eyes, surprised by the great impact of my desire, and lets out a great laugh of joy. Well, my son. Ha ha ha. You did aim for the best, ha ha ha. Granted. And now get ready, I'll send you to the world of Harry Potter. Thank you, Father, for this opportunity. I say, in case I don't have another chance. Morgan, snap your fingers and send the soul on its way of transmigration. Good luck, my son, and I hope this time you find happiness. I also gave you something extra, for calling me father, and I'm sure it will be a surprise for you, he. Comment. 38 comments. Vote. Chapter 2, The Beginning of an Adventure. Chapter 2, The Beginning of an Adventure. At London Heathrow Airport, it was a beautiful Friday, the 7th of April, 1969 at 8 a.m. There was a young man sleeping in a chair in the waiting room, from the Emigration Department of the British Ministry of Magic. Suddenly, the young man's eyelids tremble and he opens his eyes gently. You could see his eyes, golden, as intense as the purest gold. He begins to look around, to see where he was and realizes that he had successfully transmigrated. He gets up, I inspect his new body and you start to look around him. From his observation he realizes that he is in a waiting room. It is supposed to be waiting for your permission to enter the country. Suddenly and without warning a great wave of memories hits him, observing all their childhood, adolescence, trainings, noble labels, command of speaking and writing in various languages, English, Chinese, Russian, etc. Even behaviors and body traits, and I even assimilate the trip that I made in the family tradition test. And as if it wasn't enough headache. Suddenly, all the knowledge of the library of the path of magic explodes in her brain and enters her mind. The saddest thing is that he could not even cry out from the pain, but fortunately and thanks to her third wish, instantaneous mastery, the pain subsided and he subconsciously began to master all subjects, from magical and muggle alike, to levels no one thought possible. The young man, exhausted by the forced simulation that has just happened, faints again in her seat and everything is silent again, as if nothing had happened. For more than 4 hours, the young man passed out, already lying motionless in his chair and seemed to be sleeping. When suddenly, noises of hurried footsteps break the silence of the place. It was from a young assistant, passenger emigration department, of the British Ministry of Magic. She rushed up to him to wake him up and tactfully touched his shoulder. Lord Dovahkiin, Lord Dovahkiin. Please wake up, says the young woman hurriedly trying to wake the young man. The young man wakes up and observes a beautiful young woman aged 20 to 24 in front of him, beautiful features and attributes. They both stare at each other, for more than about 5 minutes without saying anything. Hello, what can I do for you, beautiful lady? Asks the young man. The young woman blushes intensely as the young man in front of her was incredibly beautiful and attractive, and even the Prince Charming of her dream could not be compared to the male god in front of her, and that she had seen many young heirs of noble houses they wanted to woo her, but none could be bought from young Lord Dovahkiin. Hello, I'm Sophia Greengrass, a member of the noble and ancestral house of the Greengrass, says Sophia. The young Sophia was extremely nervous by his presentation so unreliable. But her fears were unfounded, because the young man responded with a big smile. What a beautiful name you have, Miss Sophia, how can I help you? The young man asks. Young Sophia, with an elegant approach and a little nervousness, says a few words with a polite and professional smile. Lord Maximilian Stephen Dovahkiin, heir to the noble and ancestral house of the Dovahkiin. The British Ministry of Magic approved your stay in the country. You must also present and arrange your documents at the Department of Magic Security within a period of 1 month, and where you are requested to pay your family bills, and be aware of the new laws, which the ministry has approved. I am pleased to welcome back to England, Mr. Dovahkiin. The ministry hopes that your stay will be permanent, says Sophia in a formal and working tone. Thank you, Miss Sophia, but I would like to take the fireplace red flue and direct me the leaky cauldron, please, Max replies. Of course, follow me. If you want I can be your guide, since it must have been a long time since the last time you visited, says Sophia, suggests an invitation to. Thank you, Miss Sophia, but I would like to go, the Leaky Cauldron, and ask for a room, and rest from the long journey, because I still feel a bit tired, Max replied. Okay, follow me to the fireplace, Red Flue, and you can go there, says Sophia in understanding. Thank you, Miss Sophia, says Maximum. The two of them walked for about 5 minutes without saying anything, since the young woman is very impressed by the perfect way Max walked. Not even her grandfather, who always said that her label was of high quality for a nobleman of her status, could not be compared to Maximum. However, she couldn't help but ramble in her thoughts. Since she herself had heard of the massacre of the noble and ancient house of the Dovahkiin. After that, many noble families began to hide their houses under the enchantment Fidelius, and she herself is scared, since she had heard things from a Dark Lord and was gathering followers. Quickly, without realizing it, they were in front of the Red Flue fireplace, and Max, undeterred, took a little fluff powder, and stood in front of the fireplace. Thank you, Miss Sophia Greengrass, says Max. Goodbye, Mr. Dovahkiin, he says. Goodbye, Miss Sophia, says Max as he throws the dust into the fireplace and says. And in a burst of green flames he disappeared, without realizing that he had entered the heart of young Miss Greengrass, who was captivated by the man and wizard she just met. Bellatrix Black's POV. My name is Bellatrix Black. I was born in 1951, just finished school, and honestly, is that, instead of going to my house, I went to the Leaky Cauldron, to have a drink and relax. Because it terrifies me so much about the idea of getting married with that idiot Rodolphus Lestrange, and I was distraught that all the members of my house Black wanted me to marry him. Since that was what was expected of a woman in my class, but I did not want to marry an asshole, and I wanted to be a hit witch. Suddenly Red Flue's fireplace is activated in flickering green flames, and from what I can see, it was someone of great power coming out of there. And since I know they were someone powerful, that's because my house Black, they were closely involved in the creation of the Red Flue, and without giving me time to think. A man comes out of the chimney, incredibly handsome, of a height of about 1.95 meters, a body, shapely 20-year-old young man, hair and eyes, golden like the purest gold, skin, healthy and smooth white, with facial features, attractive. He was the most handsome, elegant and noble man she had ever seen. He wore a magician's robe, standard black, not too formal and not too informal. But what stood out the most about his clothes was that everything had designs with gold and silver threads, which made his clothes remarkable. And I couldn't help but notice that it had the emblem of a European dragon, carefully tucked into a gold-plated diamond, and if memory serves, it is the noble and ancestral house of the Dovahkiin. That was a noble and very powerful family, but I thought that there are no living members left, since I found out in the newspaper the profit of their massacre. Without realizing it, he was looking around, but I was eating him with my eyes. I couldn't help it. He was an elegant man. Every gesture he made was from the master-level noble's etiquette book, such bearing nobility and elegance, they would make my father Cygnus Black ashamed to be around him. This man had to be mine before I lose my chastity for that jerk Rodolphus, and maybe I can escape my commitment. Suddenly his gaze fell on me. He looked at me and I looked into his eyes. At first he was surprised, which made me earn a proud smile for my attractiveness. I already knew she was a beautiful woman and highly desired in various noble circles. However, the moment she looked at me with a beaming smile on her face, and it made me turn on immediately. Oh my heart, I have to say it, the man in front of me made my Arclumency have trouble controlling and my heart race. I think I'm in love with him. He comes walking like this to me, with each firm and strong step, which overflows a waste of elegance and noble status. With his gaze fixed on me, without taking it away at any time, and time seemed to vanish, because without realizing it he was in front of me, and he was preparing to introduce himself. Without giving my heart any opportunity to prepare. "Hello, beautiful lady. I am Maximilian Stephen Dovahkian, heir to the noble and ancestral house of the Dovahkian. Would you give me the honor and privilege of knowing your distinguished name?" the handsome man asks me. Comment. 30 comments. Vote. Chapter 3, A Special Encounter and a Fate-Changing Drink. Chapter 3, A Special Encounter and a Fate-Changing Drink. Upon arriving at the Leaky Cauldron, I looked around and it was what I expected, nothing out of the ordinary, and it was quite dirty. It looked like a seedy bar. I kept looking around and saw someone I knew from the Harry Potter movie. It was Bellatrix Black, although younger. I always liked her character and the fact that she went crazy. I bet all my galleons it was the fault of that idiot Lestrange. She looked at me like he wanted to eat me, in a very lusty way. I admit it, Morgan excelled in creating my body and my attractiveness. I am not complaining, but I am just saying that the man stood out magnificently. I walked towards the table where Bellatrix was sitting, and without taking my eyes off her, I approached with grace and introduced myself. With all my level of elegance and etiquette to the maximum, I already wanted to make a great impression on she. "Hello, beautiful lady. I am Maximilian Stephen Dovahkian, heir to the noble and ancestral house of the Dovahkian. Would you give me the honor and privilege of knowing your distinguished name?" I ask him with a beaming smile on my face. She looked impressed by my presentation, but quickly, with an expression of a high-class noble house lady, she introduced herself. "Hello, Dovahkian heir, my name Bellatrix Black, member of the noble and ancestral house of Black." Bellatrix responds. "It is an honor to meet such a distinguished lady, Miss Black. I would be very honored to accompany you at your table, if you allow me." I ask her politely, as I think, she's clearly being cautious with me, but she's interested in me. "The pleasure would be all mine," Dovahkian heir, says Bella elegantly. "Since we have formally introduced ourselves, please call Max." "That's what my friends call me," I said, "but it's thought. I'm sorry, Lestrange, but this brother is going to flirt with your girl." "You are very reckless, for someone of your status, but you are right. You can call me Bella, and now we can consider ourselves friends," says Bella with a little blush. I also saw she making a nice pout and a slight blush, very subtle. It shows on her face, and that tells me that he liked me. So I started my master-level courtship advancement. Ha ha ha, don't judge me. I have to use the resources I'm good at. He, he, he. How shameless you are, Bella, flaunting your beauty and your name Bella, he. But I am very confident and reckless, for someone of my status. If you don't mind me asking, what does a noble lady like you do in a garbage dump like this?" I say, smiling. Without realizing it, a young man who appears to be a waiter approached me. He seemed very insulted by my comment as I overheard him. "Hello, my name is Tom Abbott. I am the owner of this garbage can. How can I help you today?" Tom says, but when I saw what he thought with legitimacy, he said, "Smug bastard. What an annoying guy," I thought, and said politely, "I apologize for my comment, Mr. Tom, but without offending you, this place is in very bad condition, and if you look from the point of view of a tourist, Mr. Tom, this place is the first thing they see, and it welcomes Muggle-born youth, and I even dare to say that it is the bridge between our wizarding community and the Muggle world. Upon entering, the first thing they will see is a place, very dirty, run down and lacking in the atmosphere appropriate from a respectable high-end business, Instead it looks like a third-rate Muggle bar and the only thing missing is the rats here and there. Bellatrix looked very surprised by how direct my words were, and then she smiled mischievously as she realized that I was right in every one of my words. Even though she didn't much like mudbloods or Muggle-borns. The man in question looked at me as if I had stolen his wife. He stared at me for 3 minutes without saying anything, until my beloved beauty burst to my rescue and said, "Well, I think Max is right, Tom. This place is in bad shape and I think you should consider remodeling it," says Bella, but with a quick legilimency I thought, he's certainly right, this place is in really bad shape. That's my girl, and this stupid bastard who won't leave, I think, and say, "Come on man, you should accept constructive criticism, this way I can improve it, and you know what? Maybe your bar will become the symbol of meetings of our community, and it could also become something more special, over time. By the way, I want the most luxurious room you have and the most refreshing and expensive drink you have available." I saw legitimately that he was thinking, "What an arrogant bastard, but damn, he is right," thinks Tom, sighing, and says, "Okay, Grace, Mr. Max, but I must inform you that this season we have no rooms available, and here is your drink, costs 2 galleons, it's called Dragon Flaming Rum." Tom hands me a crystal glass well adorned, but nothing fancy, and stands to one side watching us. Clearly the bastard was a nosy gossip. Bella saw a golden opportunity, knowing that I had nowhere to stay, so she told me, "You're not from England, are you, Max?" "I was born here in England and lived my childhood in Dovahkiin Castle, but it is only when I reached the age of 17 that I had to travel the world and fulfill the family tradition. So it has been 3 years since I was here in England and wanted, however, I have an appointment tomorrow with my account manager and I must wait another day to settle my accounts at Gringotts and then make a trip to the Ministry of Magic, to fix my documents and request my mastery in various magical branches," I say, but he was thinking to himself, "And on that note of plans to woo you and make you my wife. Well, maybe I can help you, if I take you to my house and tell my father, Cygnus Black, maybe they could help you. Although I must warn you that my family is distrustful of strangers, and I have also heard that my great-uncle was a friend of your grandfather," Bella says with warning, and with a slight legilimency I saw what she was thinking, "I hope father likes me." "Well, it would be my pleasure, Bella, if you could help me I would appreciate it a lot, and I can even give you what you ask," I say with a smile. "Well, grab your drink quickly and we'll go. This lady took pity on you and invited you for your drink, so be thankful," Bella says with a slight blush and a smile and a little pout. "Well, grab your drink quickly and we'll go. This lady took pity on you and invited you for your drink, so be grateful," Bella says with a slight blush and a smile and a little pout. He, what a generous lady," I say, laughing and joking, but I think she is certainly very pretty when she laughs. Yes, I am right, sometimes I can't help it," Bella says proudly. "Well, I don't want to interrupt your flirtation, but welcome to England, Mr. Maximum. My grandfather bought this place. It has only been open for 60 years, and for my family this place represents a lot, and since it is almost a family tradition, inheriting the leaky cauldron between the family," says Tom, but with a quick legitimacy I saw he thought so, "Arrogant bastard, flirting in my face, and of course I'll interrupt you. How annoying is this guy?" And he interrupted me again, I think, and say, "I understand, if later you are not busy. What if I become your investor and I can advise you to do a high-level business? The Dovahkiin have the eyes for business, and I can assure you that you will win many galleons, and we will preserve the tradition of your family, and we both won." I throw him a slight legilimency to see what he thought. "Maybe I'll try, but I can't sound desperate, and it's better to keep him waiting," thinks Tom and says I'll think about it, Mr. Dovahkian. I take the drink in one gulp and put the glass on the table and get up. With Bella, who also gets up, she starts walking with me to the red flue fireplace. I turn around, I see Tom in the eyes. Well, if you are ever interested, send me a letter to my name is Maximilian Stephen Dovahkian, or send a letter to my account manager at Gringotts, I say. Bella grabs some powder in her hand and told me to digest. Says Bella. I say. Cygnus Black's POV. Dash, Black Mansion dash. Cygnus Black's POV. In another place known as the Black Mansion, Mr. Cygnus Black was worried about his eldest daughter. She had not yet returned from school and was very sure that she had already gone to another place. Because her sisters were already in the house, he knew he didn't like that Lestrange boy, but he must as a member of House Black. The flames of the red flue fireplace came to life. My daughter appeared in it, but she immediately turned away from the fireplace and the fireplace burst into flames. That means the person who comes is very powerful. You will wonder how I know, well, my family participated in the creation of the red flue chimneys. Very quickly I sent a patronym to my wife and my daughters. Then they will know we have a prominent guest at House Black. Immediately I could see a handsome young man, and from what I could see in his demeanor, he was of a respectable and noble lineage. Very quickly I noticed my wife and daughters coming, and when they arrived they also stared at the man, while he watched us. Most notably, he didn't even notice a hint of fear. In that I noticed the coat of arms of his noble house, and I immediately recognized it. It was of the House Dovahkian, a noble house and very rich, disgustingly rich. We Black are rich, but we are not at the level of wealth of House Dovahkian. As I understand it, they have great friendship with the goblins. In fact, it was the only family of magicians that supported the Goblin Rebellion in the war, and in the war against Grindelwald they had a remarkable role, protecting their territory either from the light side or the dark side. They were very hated and feared for that fact. Here in front of me is a descendant of that family. This was a golden opportunity to establish a connection, and his daughter brought it to him later. I'll have to reward her, maybe a marriage contract. Comment. 7 comments. Vote. Chapter 4, Meeting at Black Mansion. Chapter 4, Meeting at Black Mansion. Max's point of view. Black Mansion Place. Upon arriving at the Black Mansion, I could see several people. One was a man no older than 35 years, with hair, black, with eyes, grey, of a height, about 1.85 centimeter, with a body, not very trained, but he looked powerful and his etiquette and manners were impeccable. He watched me and evaluated me. I observed by his side an older woman of about 30 to 35, with hair, blonde, with eyes, sky blue, one height, at 1.78 centimeter. She was quite beautiful, and I must emphasize that she looked about 25 years old in appearance. Said person also evaluated me. I look at her side and see a young woman with hair, black, with features similar to those of Bella, about 17 years old. Her eye put that she must be Andromeda, and she looked at me curiously. I look behind her and I see another young woman, blonde hair, very pretty, appeared to her mother, and I suppose that she is Narcissa looking at me, with intrigue, vigilance and distrust. I calm down and start walking with Bella by my side towards where they were. Bella elegantly introduces me to her father. Father, let me introduce you to Lord Maximilian Stephen Dovahkian, heir to the noble and ancestral house of Dovahkian. Max, this is my father Cygnus Black III, member of the noble and ancestral house of Black. This is my mother Drusilla Black, my middle sister Andromeda Black, and my younger sister Narcissa Black, says Bella proudly introducing her family. Mr. Black, Mrs. Black and Miss Black. It's an honor to meet you. I say, bowing gracefully. It is also an honor for me to meet him, Dovahki Ine. Are you by any chance Max the Tyrant Dragon, who is a renowned and world-famous bounty hunter, for catching many criminals? Also, he is the world dueling champion for 3 years in a row and a great historian of magic history. I'm right, right? Cygnus asks, but with a legality poll I saw that he was thinking, I hope it is not, and if it is, then they're to be careful. But I think it is him, because they are very similar. Ha ha, well yeah, that's me. Even though I didn't think someone would know about my little achievements. I say asking, and but I think, well, that were my achievements before recovering my memories, and maybe later in the future, I can do something even more impressed. Well, that's because my husband Cygnus is in charge of family business outside the country, and I have heard a lot about you at various noble parties. I must say that I too am impressed by your achievements, young Mr. Dovahki Ine, says Drula, but on probing with legilimency I saw that he was thinking of, certainly he is a gifted, handsome, and noble wizard. I must convince my husband to try to establish a marital connection with one of my daughters. Please, Mrs. Drula, call me Max. And the truth is, you are only looking for a hobby while traveling the world. Never imagine having such fame or titles, I say and think. Certainly it is true, because from my memories it was very boring to travel aimlessly, and that's why I looked for ways to distract myself. Okay Max, Cygnus and I are very sorry about what happened to the members of your house Dovahki Ine. Do you have any idea who could have committed such a crime? Asks Drula. Cygnus, with wide and surprised eyes, responds hastily and in an effort not to misinterpret his wife's words, please darling, don't overwhelm young Max with sad matters. He sure came to us for help, and we will help where we can. I consider it a bit and wonder if I should tell them or not, but decides to do it because I am interested in Bellatrix and I want to change her life. I reply, well, as regards what happened to my family, Grandpa Maximus sent me a patronym and told me what happened before he died. Apparently it was a man named Lord Voldemort, who claims to be heir to Slytherin and was the one responsible for such atrocity, but I investigated it with some friends I trust. Because I wanted to know who this Lord Voldemort was, and it seems that the name is an anagram of his real name, which is Tom Marvolo Riddle, a low-class half-breed. I also managed to investigate Tom's family, his father a Muggle, called Tom Riddle Sr., and his mother a squib from House Gaunt, called Merop Gaunt. To be honest, I don't know what this half-breed is playing, and what I even more puzzled in my research was that the bastard is or was an apprentice to Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore. I say, while thinking about, I feel there is more involved. I'll try to find out later and see what really happened. Immediately Mr. Cygnus and his wife looked pale, as if they had already met this Dark Lord, and they seemed that more pale when he mentioned that he was a half-breed. Cygnus was the first to speak, seemed very concerned, and asked urgently, young Max, is this information true? It is very important to validate it. Since our black family has been in contact with this Dark Lord, and if it is true, then we have been deceived. Drula also rushes to support her husband, and so that he would not misunderstand and have no disagreements, I hope you are not offended, young Max. The truth is that this mestizo has made an appearance in several noble meetings, looking for sympathizers to his cause, and my sister-in-law is quite involved in the matter, since she has attended several meetings organized by this half-blood. I understand. Regarding the information, it is correctly verified, and I also paid the sum of 2,600,000 galleons, for the information in the underworld. So it must be true, since no one dared to cheat me and live to tell it. In addition, the agents of the underworld are trustworthy people, of course if you can pay their price, and with my current achievements nobody wants to be my enemy. Because that would make me their enemy, and my enemies do not live happy lives, I say seriously, and I show them a copy of the document coldly. Cygnus and Drula take the document and see it, and immediately Cygnus and Drula run to Red Flu's fireplace and say the following words. They disappear into the green flames. For 2 minutes we were silent, and until Narcissa spoke. "You are Bella's boyfriend?" Narcissa asks with curiosity and a touch of gossip. Bella looked flustered and gave Narcissa a murderous look, but I noticed for a moment on her face she was hopeful. As if waiting for what I was going to say. But her other sister said something that devastated Bella completely. "But Bella, you are not going to marry Rodolphus?" Dora asks. But when probing with Legilimency I saw that he was thinking about, "I'm sure Bella is interested in this man, so I should joke with her while I can and live for the moment to make fun of her." Hehehe. Bella's eyes immediately turn red and she runs off to what I assume is her room. We were silent for a minute without saying anything. Until I start a conversation. Bella is engaged. I ask with the intention of breaking the ice and to satisfy my curiosity. She is not engaged, but the members of House Black, they want her to marry a young man from a noble house and to establish a beneficial connection, and they have been spinning the matter for several years and have not formalized anything so far. What I can't imagine is that my sister seems very interested in you. How did you meet her? Sissy asks, wanting to know everything, but when probing her with Legilimency I was thinking about, my sister is very lucky to have met such a handsome man, and because of my parents' behavior of being a noble house with great wealth. Members of my house are distrustful of strangers. Unless the other house is on the same level as the noble Black house, and if they are of the same status, a marital connection is always sought that benefits the Black house. It is a pity that it cannot meet him first. To be honest, I met her at the Leaky Cauldron, and because I arrived in the country last night, where I had to spend some hellish hours of waiting, in the emigration department of the ministry, I say with a sigh and continue explaining, this is how I headed to Leaky Cauldron, to ask and request room arrangements, have a drink and then get a proper rest. But unfortunately I wasn't counting on there being no rooms available, and Bella offered to help me ask your father if he could offer me a place to stay. But now that they are gone and I don't know what to do. It is quite simple to solve. Stay in the guest room and my parents will not mind, since it is safer. They wanted to talk to you when they returned, says Dora, but when probing her with Legilimency I was thinking about, I think Mom and Dad will be happy with which he stays, and they will surely want to talk to him after talking to my great-uncle. You seem like a very intelligent young Andromeda. I will gladly accept your offer, and if you could guide me to the room, I say with a smile. Certainly I was quite exhausted and I was having a hard time staying on my feet. Sure, is not a problem, confirms Dora. Suddenly a very lively house elf appears. How can Anna help young Miss Dora? Asks the house elf Anna. Dora with a smile says Anna takes Mr. Max to the guest room. The little elf Anna looks at me with surprised and amazed eyes. I think it is due to my levels of magic or my dragon heritage. Anna, it will be the Master Dragon's guide. Please follow me, Master Dragon. Anna says with great encouragement and directed me to the room. Without saying anything else I follow her, leaving behind Sissy and Dora, as I disappear from her sight. Andromeda's point of view. I watched the man disappear from my sight. But I was thinking, Master Dragon, according to what I have read in the books of the Black Library, is someone revered as a tamer of dragons and a speaker of the ancient language of dragons. He is certainly a man very interesting and mysterious, I think that's why my sister is attracted to it. My thoughts were interrupted by my sister Sissy, asking something. Sister, Anna, said the Dragon Master. Sissy asks curiously. I have no idea, but I think it must be a magical ability of House Dovahkiin, just as the Blacks have our magical ability, and although in our case it has disappeared from our magical heritage, I replied, but it was thought. Certainly, someone who can speak with dragons must be powerful, and now I see why the noble House Black saw the noble House Dovahkiin as equals. You think our parents were talking to Great Uncle Archerus about that Dark Lord? Sissy asks anxiously. It's the safest thing. They also looked very concerned about the information they heard from Mr. Max, and I hope it's not too late, I replied, but I thought, I just hope that the Black House does not fall apart. You don't think Max is too handsome, that he seems unreal, asks Sissy. You are right, Sissy, he is very attractive and handsome, and from what I saw from my father's reaction, his noble House Dovahkiin is richer than noble House Lestrange. What I fear is that Bella is in love with him, and if she is, he will have a lot of competition. When the young witches meet him, I replied, and thought, he is the man with whom I always dreamed of marrying and having a family. I think so too, but I'm happy for my sister, since she was never interested in boys, says Sissy, but there was a touch of envy in her words. Comment. 14 comments. Vote. Chapter 5, Uncovering the Deception of a Dirty Half-Blood. Chapter 5, Uncovering the Deception of a Dirty Half-Blood. At 12 Grimald Place. Cygnus Black's POV. Today was a bad day. Ever since I learned of a vile deception, and not just because we were about to join the cause of that dirty half-breed, it's just that the half-breed was too shameless. Fortunately, I was able to mitigate with my sister Walburga and my brother-in-law Orion, so that he did not join the cause of that dirty mestizo, and we delayed the moment of joining the cause. Drula and I run to my uncle Archerus's room, since we need his help. And why go to him? Well, that's simple. That's because the Lord of House Black and all decisions of House Black should always be consulted with him. We arrived at the door of my uncle's room and urgently knocked on the door. Who has the nerve to disturb me on my break? Says Archerus. I am Cygnus, your nephew. Sorry to bother you, Uncle Archerus, but I have something urgent to talk about, and it concerns the fate of House Black, I said urgently. Clearly this was an emergency. I run through the door with my wife Drula. She begins to tell him what Max told me, and I give the document with the information to my uncle. Archerus Black's POV. Processing the information I just heard, I had a moment of clarity and remembered, certainly, he remembered the name Tom Riddle from a few years ago, when a certain mudblood who was in the noble house of Slytherin was mentioned, and it was a big stain for the noble house of Slytherin. However, as he was an apprentice to Albus, no one dared to be anything to him for fear of offending Albus Dumbledore, and now I cannot understand why Albus passed him off as a muggle-born. Certainly, Merlin is blessing us with this information, and the young Dovahkiin heir has certainly given us a miracle, nor did I remember that dirty half-breed. I think Abraxas Malfoy got to know him very well. I say and think, Max later to consult with a family of fortune-tellers and see the fate of the noble House Black. How can creature serve Master Archerus? House Elf creature asks in a servility manner. Summon the members of the noble and ancestral House of Black, except my grandsons and the daughters of Cygnus, I say with a tone of authority, and think. I think that in this meeting I must use legilimency and see what the members of my house think, just to be sure. This will be done, Master Archerus, says House Elf creature. House Elf disappears and quickly brings the members of House Black. I observe, to my wife Melania, my son Orion and my daughter-in-law Walburga, my daughter Luretia and lastly my nephew Alphard, all seemed confused by the sudden invocation. "Master, I have brought the members of the family," says House Elf Creature. "Well done, Creature. Good job. Leave for now," says Archerus. The house elf disappears and I begin to tell my relatives what we had discovered about the dirty half-breed who tried to deceive us. I immediately saw the anger on their faces and couldn't blame them, since a dirty half-breed tricked us. This would be a blot on the history of the noble and ancestral House of Black. My daughter-in-law Walburga felt so angry that she had vein marks on her face and then she calmed down. On probing her legitimately, I saw that she was thinking of, "Damn you half-blood, I curse you." Thanks to Merlin, my brother Cygnus convinced not to join yet and wait. And she said angrily that bloody half-blood. Walburga, I feel cheated off by that disgusting low-class half-blood. I even contributed some galleons to her cause. My nephew Alphard is an intelligent and very cunning man. He realized immediately that there was a hidden plot, of which no one in the room seemed to have noticed, and when probing him with legilimency I saw that he was thinking, "Certainly the members of my family, they are too much, distrustful, vengeful and dark, we almost get screwed for that." I think this is due to the reputation of House Black, which we have harvested over the years and almost paid the price, and I look into my eyes and he gave me his opinion of what he thought. It is certainly worrisome, but none of you noticed the pattern, and it is that Albus Dumbledore trained a Dark Lord. Something is plotting that old man, and surely he has a hidden agenda. It is impossible that he does not know the nature of that mestizo, being a great legiromancy teacher, and I think this was planned by him. My wife Melania agreed with Alphard, and when probing her with legilimency I saw that it was thought that old Albus was not up to anything good for the British wizarding community and wanted to drag House Black. Something tells me that they saved us from extinction by fault of young Max. Says calmly, "I agree with you, Alphard. Albus is plotting a second war, and this time his objective is obvious. It is to entangle us purebloods in this war and eliminate us from the landscape of influential families." "Father, I feel that things could be more complicated," says Orion. When probing him with legilimency I saw that he was thinking, "Certainly something macabre is cooking that old Albus with his apprentice." I agree with you, Orion. The question is, what should we do? We cannot disclose this information as it is vitally important to us, and we also don't know who to trust. We don't know how many followers it has so far and how many houses. Nobles have joined the cause of the mestizo, says Cygnus. You're right, Cygnus. We have to be cautious. This half-breed has been conspiring for quite some time and almost dragged us into his trap. I know the Lestrange have already joined his cause and apparently give him a snake-shaped mark, Walburga says, and continues, "Now I believe that it is a slave mark so that they do not betray him, and because of this I believe that now the noble House Black owes a favor to the young Dovahki in heir. I think a marriage with one of the daughters of House Black would be appropriate, and that will strengthen our ties with him," says Druella while looking at the members of House Black, and then continues saying, "I know that outside the country he is known and respected, and nicknamed Max the Dragon Tyrant. His reputation consists of mutilating, torturing and killing every criminal he captures. However, I have heard that he only seeks and accepts bounties for over 50,000 galleons. He is also the current world dueling champion for 3 years in a row, and his dueling skills are unmatched. The scariest thing is that he always wins with a couple of spells. Certainly I knew his grandfather Maximus, and he was a man of honor and very powerful in his time. His father Xavier was a well-known potions master and very respectable healer in the Healers Guild," I say as I look at the faces of the members of my family, and continued, "I think Druella is right. we should take advantage of the fact that no one knows him and make a marital bond between the young Dovahkiin heir and the Black House. To have him close or be on his side in the war that is to come. And which of your daughters do you think would be the right ruler? I think she likes my daughter Bellatrix, although by her eyes she is interested in my 3 daughters equally, says Drusilla, and when probing her with legilimency I saw that she was thinking, if I can make him take my 3 daughters as her wives and so can do my job as a mother, to get my 3 daughters a good husband. Certainly, I think so too. It was she who invited him to the Black Mansion and gave us this opportunity, says Cygnus, as he realizes that he left the man alone with his daughters, because he was very anguished and worried, that he ran out of the rushed mansion with his wife. By Merlin's beard. How can Anna help you, Master Cygnus? Says the house elf Anna. What's going on at Black Mansion? Has young Max left yet? Cygnus says, demanding an answer. The poor house elf Anna, a little confused, replies young Miss Dora, offered the Dragon Master the guest room, and it was because she thought that Master Cygnus would like to talk to the Dragon Master. Currently he fell asleep in bed. I could see that he looked very tired and exhausted. That's my daughter, always on the lookout for details, says Drusilla, proud of her daughter Dora, for being so sensible. Dragon Master, while I think. Alphard, and asked the house elf. Wait a minute, Anna, did you say Master Dragon? Anna with study answers, yes Master Alphard. Anna said Master Dragon. It is the name that is given to those beings, who speak the ancient and venerable language of dragons. By Merlin's beard, says Alphard. By Merlin's beard, I say. By Merlin's beard, says Cygnus. By Merlin's beard, says Drusilla. By Merlin's beard, says Melania. By Merlin's beard, says Walburga. By Merlin's beard, says Luretia. Everyone in the room stood with our eyes wide open, trying to process the information that fortunately we had just heard, and for more than 30 minutes no one said anything. Since the only wizard known and recorded in history for speaking the ancient language of dragons was Merlin, now there was a young man who speaks the language. I think we should conclude this meeting. Now I must give orders and then check with the family of seers to see the fate of the noble and ancestral house of Black. Drusilla, I want you to prepare and convince your daughter Bellatrix to accept this marriage, pausing to observe her family and continue. We owe a debt of gratitude to the Dovahkiin heir. We must make the most of our bond with him, and we must be honest with him at all times. I say seriously and continuously, if there is something that the noble house Dovahkiin gives themselves, it is that they do not like to be used and tractioned, since it is a serious offense for the noble house Dovahkiin. Night. The family will have dinner at the Black Mansion. Melania and Walburga will be in charge of dinner. Do you understand? I say, asking. Drusilla, Melania and Walburga answer yes. Comment. 19 comments. Vote. Chapter 6, Chapter 6, Bellatrix's Happiness. Chapter 6, Bellatrix's Happiness. Black Mansion. In a Victorian bedroom, well decorated in black, red, and gold, young Bellatrix slept on a bed. Because she had been crying for a while and fell asleep, when she wakes up she realizes that she fell asleep, quickly casts a time spell. She realized that it was after 3 in the afternoon. Feeling sad and a little irritated, she thinks, Dora is a fool and an idiot. Because of her, now my Max had a bad impression of her, and wait, my Max, I certainly like the sound of the name. Without realizing it, someone was knocking on her bedroom door. Open the door, Bellatrix, for me, asks Drusilla strictly. No. I want to be alone, mother, says Bella. Without saying anything else, Drusilla casts an Alohomora spell on the door and the door opens. Drusilla walks by and realizes that her daughter has been crying, and I can understand why. Since she came home and her daughter Dora told her, with a smile she approaches the bed and sits on the side. Daughter, I know you are not going to like it, but the Lord of House Black has decided who will be your husband, says Drusilla firmly, and can see that the sheets on the bed began to twist. Paying attention he could hear her crying in silence. With a sigh Drusilla says, when we agree to your marriage in the meeting with your future husband, you will be known as Bellatrix Dovahkiin in Knee Black. Do you have anything to say about this arrangement, dear daughter? Who wants to marry that idiot Lestrange? I'll never do it, and the one I like is Max. Bella says in an annoyed and rebellious tone. Daughter, I think you are confused. Your husband will not be a Lestrange, says Drusilla with a playful smile. So who was the idiot they picked? Bella says, annoyed. Drusilla with a smile says patiently, I will repeat it so that you understand. When we accept your marriage to your future husband, and you will be known as Bellatrix Dovahkiin in Knee Black. Congratulations, daughter. Bella seemed to have said something amazing to her, so she had to ask mother. Are you sure Max will be my husband? Please tell me, mother. Drusilla closes her eyes without looking at her daughter and says in a doubtful tone, it all depends if Max accepts, and with your consent, Lord Black will offer you to him to pay off the debt of gratitude. Because currently the Black House owes him a debt, and the way to pay off a debt of family gratitude is with a marital union. But if you don't agree, I'll go ask Dora. Bella, concerned, is quick to say what? No, no, no. Don't go ask Dora. I agree to be Max's wife. Drusilla laughs and says, he. So you were crying, because Max heard that you possibly had a fiancé, and now it's official, you are the fiancé of the Dovahkiin heir, he. Mother, don't make fun of your daughter, Bella says, pouting and pretending to be in a bad mood, knowing that her mother is making fun of her. But she couldn't help but think that this decision of Lord Black, her destiny would change forever. But she was more than happy with this decision, knowing that she would marry her Maximum. Dear daughter, do you have any idea why young Max is the heir and not the lord of his noble house? From what I understand, he is the last descendant of his noble house, asks Drusilla. I think it's because I should go to Gringotts Bank and speak to the account manager of Noble House Dovahkiin, so that Max receives his new titles, Bella responds with a very happy humor. When Drusilla sees her daughter's mood, she decides to joke with her a bit and says, daughter, you are a lucky girl, you know, with such luck, that it is enviable, and the reason is that your dear mother proposed the idea to marry Maximum. You know, you should thank your mother for this opportunity. Bella laughs at how lucky she is, he. If I'm lucky. He. What, seriously, mother, you did it for me. You are the best mother in the world. I love you, mother. Mother and daughter talked for over 2 hours about things. They got close enough. Her mother advised her to wear a beautiful dress to impress her future husband. Bella took her advice and they spent the rest of the afternoon trying on dresses. The little house elf Anna interrupts, and with a lamenting tone she expresses Master Drusilla. There is an hour left for dinner. Anna, I can avoid noticing that the Dragon Master is still asleep. Anna tried to enter. But there is a powerful barrier there. That prevents Anna from entering. Anna has tried everything. But Anna cannot pass. What, my Max is here at the mansion. He, I'm going to wake him up, mother. She says beautiful while running. Drusilla, seeing her daughter with a mocking smile, says don't forget to kiss him when you wake him up, because men really like that show of affection. Mother, stop making fun of your daughter. Bella pouts as she runs out of the room and heads to the guest room. Max's point of view. I woke up almost around 6:30 p.m., saw a large mirror and undressed. I stood in front of it. When admiring my new body, I was certainly on top with this body, and what I noticed is that I had a golden dragon tattoo on my back, meticulously carved with ancient runes to maximize my magic among other things. I searched my memories, and it was I who tattooed him with a very powerful and very painful ritual. Suddenly the door opens and slams shut. I can see Bella come into the room running to the bed and then jump on the bed. The funny thing is that he realizes that I'm not in bed and starts looking for me in the room and immediately looks at me with surprised eyes. But when I looked into her eyes, I saw how her gaze turned into one of lust and traveled every inch of my body. That I was quite surprised, and I can say that the attractiveness of my body was at the highest. Not even in the Witch's Heart magazine, I could look for a model that could compare to my good looks. With bad thoughts, I said to myself that this might be an opportunity to flirt with Bella, and I put on my best smiling face and walked to the bed. My, look what we have here, a beautiful intruder, I say in a playful and seductive tone. What are you talking about, husband? I'm not a beautiful intruder. I'm your wife, Bella says with a confident but playful tone. His comment brought me quite a refreshing joy, and I think, if what he said was true, then it would be something like the debt of gratitude between the noble houses, and that is something that can only be paid by making a union between the two noble houses. Magical traditions are sometimes quite stupid, but sometimes very useful. With a mischievous and playful smile he approached me. To my cute intruder, I said, how strange. I could swear that in the morning I was a very single man. At what point did I get such a beautiful wife? Bella, with a knowing smile and a little flushed, says to me, well, you know they say it, when you are a very attractive man, you are single in the morning and by afternoon you are already married. You just made it up, my beautiful wife. I'm going to have to punish you for being a very naughty girl, I say in a mischievous and seductive tone. Bella smiles at my comment and says, you won't be able to punish this naughty girl, because you have to attend a dinner with the members of House Black. How sad, I wanted to give you a great punishment. Well, now you can retire, to be able to put clothes on. Unless you want to observe the incredible body of your husband, I say in a cheeky and proud tone. Bella looks at me with a smile and says, no, I'm not leaving this bedroom without you, dear husband, so get dressed, and it's not like you have something to hide from me that I haven't seen already, What a cheeky wife, I'm going to have to make time and to punish you properly, I whisper in a seductive tone in her ear. To my comment Bella seemed very happy. I walked to a place where I had left my clothes and looked for my trunk in the jacket pocket. I quickly apply magic to it and it enlarges. I open the lid of my trunk and look for a suitable outfit for a noble dinner. I found a dress magician's robe, black with blue, with decorations in pure silver threads, with buttons in sapphire, and had to say it was a very luxurious robe. I put on the robe. I also cast some spells to comb my hair, remove facial beard from my face, I whiten my teeth with magic, and I also cast other spells of beauties that I create to look handsome. The former host of my body was a vain and very proud man, so I inherited his trait and personality. Looking at myself in the mirror, I think with vanity, as I supposed, I look impressed. I also realized that my dear wife Bella was almost behind me, and I had a shameless idea. I turned around and quickly embraced her in my arms, pulling her to my chest. With my right hand I quickly reach for her chin and lift her up. She was looking at me confused, but before she realizes what is happening, I steal a kiss from her and I quickly immersed myself in the emotion of kissing her. Her lips are very creamy and addictive. I did not want to stop. After a continuous couple of minutes, I kept kissing her and never letting go of her, but it made me more ambitious. He, as they say in the world of Harry Potter, I let out the Slytherin inside me. And I went for her tongue that had a cherry flavor. With one hand she touched her bust and with the other she touched her rear. Let me tell you, I had a firm butt and I started massaging them. I could hear little moans here and there. Just as I was going to undress her as a gift package, the door opened and from the magical signature, I think it's Sissy, Bella's younger sister. Sissy in an embarrassed tone and coughs to interrupt and says cough, 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 excuse me. But they are waiting for you in the meeting room. Comment. 10 comments. Vote. Chapter 7, Paying a Debt of Gratitude Between Noble Houses. Chapter 7, Paying a Debt of Gratitude Between Noble Houses. Point of view of Maximum. Being interrupted by Sissy, I stop kissing Bella slowly and see her beautiful face yearning for more, and I chuckled, and gave her a loving kiss, but fast. Hey, stop there waiting, says Sissy, clearly embarrassed by the show of affection. I reluctantly separate from Bella, help her to sit on a chair. As she seemed to feel dizzy and sitting her down, I look into her brown eyes and tell her with a cheeky smile. I told you that I would punish you for being a very naughty girl, and I dare say that you liked the way I punished you, right, dear wife? I say seductively and searched for an answer. Bella nods her head. She was still in a shy state and gave her another quick kiss, and I pulled away from her. I fix my appearance with a couple of spells and walk to the door, only to see a very blushing Sissy. I chuckled and said something that left her surprised, since it seemed that she did not know yet. Sister-in-law, I let you take care of my wife Bellatrix. With constant steps I walk the door like that, and I couldn't help but turn around saying to Bella, by the way Bella, you taste delicious. He. With a laugh I leave the room, leaving behind a very blushing and shy beauty, and a Sissy wanting to find out everything that happened in the bedroom. As I leave the bedroom I see the little house elf Anna, waiting for me. The house elf Anna, says Master Dragon. At last he leaves the bedroom. Anna wanted to wake him up. Anna tried everything. But there was a powerful barrier and Anna couldn't enter. I interrupt her, because these little beings are unfortunate, and besides, I didn't want to ruin my good mood listening to their laments. It's fine, little Anna, now take me to the place where they are waiting for me, I say with a tone of authority, so that the little elf he will take me to meet with Lord Black and the members of the noble and ancestral House of Black. Anna will take him, Master Dragon, says House Elf. We started walking to what I suppose was the meeting room of the Black Mansion, and upon arrival I see a large Victorian room with little luxury here and there. But in my opinion, of someone who remembers some things from the modern era, the decor was average for a noble family, and I keep my opinion to myself. In the room several people were already waiting for me, and I even saw 2 small children. I think they are Sirius and Regulus, and next to them a stern-looking woman, who should be their mother Walburga. In the middle of the room, an old man who had an aura of authority around him, and sitting on what I presume is the House of Black throne, but in my opinion it looked like a nicely decorated chair. I introduce myself before giving him a chance to show off. I step forward with an elegant bow and say, greetings members of the noble and ancestral House of Black. I am the Dovahkiin, heir to the prestigious and reserved pure-blood family, the noble and ancestral house of the Dovahkiin. I am allowed to introduce my distinguished and humble name is Maximilian Stephen Dovahkiin. It is an honor to meet you on such a magnificent night. The members of House Black fell silent, witnessing one of the most noble and elegant presentations they had ever seen. They had seen many heirs present themselves, but never in such a magnificent and prestigious way. That made it clear that young man in front of them was knowledgeable about the ancient customs and traditions of the nobles, which is only passed by word of mouth among the oldest houses. Archelaus was very excited by this presentation. He goes ahead and says, "Hello, Dovahkiin. You are in the presence of Lord Black of the noble and ancestral House of Black. My distinguished name is Archelaus Black and I formally welcome you to the Black Mansion. I bow in courtesy and token of appreciation, Grace Lord Black. I hope you have been able to rest from your trip," says Archelaus. When probing him with legilimency, I saw that he was thinking, this young man is a good seed, surely that old bat of Maximo trained him properly, and while the descendants of my house, never they want to learn the old labels, what an injustice there in the world. If I have had a good nap, the truth is that I do not usually get tired, but I get tired of all the immigration procedures of the ministry. I have never seen so much paperwork, I say jokingly. Certainly, those fools from the ministry only know how to solve everything through paperwork, ha ha ha, Archelaus says, but with a serious tone he says, Dovahkiin, I ask your permission to be honest with you and explain, what is this meeting for? I agree to hear your explanation, Lord Black, says Max in a polite and elegant way. Archelaus seemed a bit nervous. He was clearly intimidated by my serious way of expressing myself and my graceful gestures, and said, "We meet here today, young Dovahkiin, because my noble house Black owes you a debt of gratitude, and for having provided us with this one vital information, which changed the destiny of the noble and ancestral House of Black," says Archelaus. But when probing him with legilimency, I saw that he was thinking, "I already confirmed it with the prestigious House of Sears, and the Black House has changed its destiny, even though the price in galleons was high to confirm it. I do not regret it." I nod and say, "I understand, Lord Black, please continue." "Since we owe you a debt of family gratitude between noble houses, and what better way to pay it than by abiding the noble and ancient tradition of uniting our two noble houses? We hope to unite in marriage one of the daughters of the Black House with you, Dovahkiin. We hope that with this union we can pay our debt to you and at the same time establish a connection between the two noble houses," says Archelaus seriously. With a smile he agreed, but he must clarify something, so that there are no misunderstandings in the future. "I can accept this debt of gratitude, but my father, in an agreement with one of the friends of the family, took a marriage contract on my behalf," I say, but continues, "as my noble house is almost extinct after the war with Grindelwald, my grandfather agreed with my father that his grandson have 2 or 3 wives, and in the hope of reviving the noble and ancestral house of the Dovahkiin. If he agrees with this term, I can accept the daughter of House Black as my second fiancée and wife." In this world, there was no law that prohibited polygamy, because in the magical community and it was normal, but noble families rarely practiced it. Unless their noble house was almost extinct, it would not take 2 or 3 wives. Also note that Sissy and Bella were eavesdropping in the hall. I looked at Archelaus and he was looking at me, but I already knew what his answer would be. Archelaus earnestly draws his wand and says, "We House Black accept your terms, young Dovahkiin, so be it." In response, Max marries his wand and says, "I, Maximilian Stephen Dovahkiin, Dovahkiin, heir of the noble and ancestral house of the Dovahkiin, accept the daughter of House Black as my second fiancée and wife, so be it." When promising with magic as a witness, I noticed a Bellatrix jumping in the hall with her sister Sissy. With a smile, "I will judge a little joke, he. I say with a smile, "So which of the 2 unmarried Black sisters will be my fiancée, since I have been told that Miss Bellatrix is already in an agreement to be Rodolphus Lestrange's fiancée?" I immediately notice Bellatrix very angry and sad. Walburga quickly says, "No, young Dovahkiin, your fiancée will be Bellatrix because she is the eldest, and as for House Lestrange, we will no longer make any commitments or agreements with that house in the future." Drusilla realizes that her daughter was in the hall and smiles with a knowing smile. "My daughter Bella can be a bit selfish, spoiled, mischievous and very ill-tempered, but I hope you accept her maximum." The men in the room were somewhat puzzled, but the women had already realized that a young Bella was eavesdropping. "That's how Max is, although she is not the best, but you must accept her out of sympathy and take care of her since we fear that she will remain single," says Lucretia in a complicity tone. "My beautiful sister is very crying. She always locks herself in her room to cry, and you must be careful that she does not lock herself in a room to cry to death," says Dora with complicity and a touch of malice. Bellatrix, who could not stand so much defamation and harassment from the women present, says, "Hey, you have to accept me as your wife. You already kissed me and you cannot take it back." The men finally realized what was happening. They laughed out loud, along with the women. The young Bellatrix realized that they were making fun of her all the time. Sulkingly she was adorably stomping on the floor with her arms crossed between his chest, pouting. Comment. 6 comments. Vote. Chapter 8. Chapter 8 Plans for the Future and an Unexpected Moment. Chapter 8 Plans for the Future and an Unexpected Moment. After I had introduced myself to the members of House Black and accepted a second wife, we began to talk and joke. I think they like me. Young Sirius was a born joker and his brother Regulus followed him in his jokes. Madame Melania was a very educated woman, who could say that her youth taught many hearts to hunt with Archerus, and I couldn't help but comment on it, which earned me a couple of smiles and a juicy history of all the battles she had to face Archerus, in order to marry her, as there were many interested men. Then I met Lucretia, the youngest daughter of Archerus. She was a very respected healer in the guild, and it seems that she was married to someone, but the members of House Black did not like her husband and I did not want to find out at the moment. But I'll find out in the future. Orion was, so to speak, a businessman and focused on the Black House business in the country. He had great magic power, but it seemed that he did not use it much. Walburga was a strict woman, but if you could see beyond that, she was a woman who lived by family and tradition. Honestly, she was also the one who expresses the most hatred for Voldemort. Alphard was a cunning man and very smart, to be honest. I don't know how he was killed in Voldemort's war from the Harry Potter movie. Speaking with Alphard, I realized that we had many things in common, as we openly valued intelligence and we also had a hobby of being grief maniacs. Also, talking to Archerus told me a couple of stories about my grandfather. We laughed for a while, then they invited me to a room that they used to talk about serious things. Walburga left with Sirius and Regulus. "First of all, what we will talk about cannot leave this room, as we don't know who to trust right now," says Archerus seriously. It seemed like he was speaking or warning the Black Sisters, but he was also warning others not to trust anyone outside of the family. "I understand your concern. The truth, my grandfather once told me that Albus was a name without honor, since he broke his promise in the presence of magic to face Grindelwald, in search of fame and glory, saying that he would have liked to intervene before so that there were not so many deaths. My grandfather did not believe it, so he investigated a little before the man became untouchable. He found many curious things," I say while looking at the people in the room. "The first thing that grandfather discovered Grindelwald was Albus's lover." The people in the room were a bit dubious, but now they understood why a man of Albus' status never got engaged to a woman. Seeing people doubted, continue to explain my grandfather's research. My grandfather's second discovery was that Gellert and Albus made a magical promise not to hurt each other and to love each other unconditionally. With legilimency I saw that Alphard was thinking, by making this kind of promise Albus took Gellert off guard and defeated him, taking all the fame and glory, having defeated a powerful Dark Lord. Seeing that everyone was incredulous, with a smile I continued, "Third discovery, it is the one that my grandfather found the most strange, because it was Albus who urged Gellert to the magical war with the world, with the excuse of taking revenge for what happened to his sister and to make the world a better place. Now it was Arcturus who was incredulous, and when I probed him with legilimency I saw that it was thought, now everything with rope, but this is strange as nobody saw it coming. With a smile I continued telling them, knowing that with this information I would gain the trust of the Black's fourth discovery. It is what my grandfather called brilliant and sinister, since Albus gave an excuse here and there, not to intervene in the war, sitting comfortably while the magical population decreased. This discovery led my grandfather to a terrible conclusion, and it was that Albus wanted powerful wizards to die in war, to pave his way to the top without getting in the way. He also found other things, but not they are so alarming. The room was silent. No one would have believed that the Lord of Light was the greatest Dark Lord of the time. I know some of you have questions and it's hard to believe my words, but this is the truth I say and continue saying. My grandfather told me that at first there were criticisms, but then those criticisms turned into praise, and my grandfather even manipulated a man with a mental magic to criticize him. I pause to take a sip of water and continue saying, but that same night of that same day, said person had a visit from Albus with his phoenix, and where he threw a powerful legilimency. My grandfather, knowing that he could not trust anyone, secluded himself and left the noble houses, observing from afar I say, and with an icy rage and coldness. And it was not a coincidence that my family was attacked by Albus' puppet. My grandfather simply took his guard down and paid the price with his life, along with the members of House Dovahkiin. As they listened to me speak, they became more and more pale, and I even saw some clenching their fists that force, others clenching their teeth in anger, and others were sad. Now I have plans to open a magical town or magical city protected by a powerful barrier, and where we will welcome the magicians of this silly war that is to come. I say, pausing to look them in the eye and continuing as an informant, both sides are still recruiting. I believe that within 1 year or 2 years it will be attacked in guerrilla attacks, and by the year 1975 the war will intensify. I see that everyone was listening to me attentively, and I can even see the disbelief on their part. Now the first thing I learned from my travels in the Muggle world is that whoever controls the media controls public opinion and opinion outside the country. Clarifying this, I believe that buying the newspaper The Prophet is the most profitable option. I say, while I think public opinion was the greatest weapon of the Ministry in the Harry Potter movie, now I will use it to my advantage. Your idea is quite interesting. We certainly have a lot of prejudice towards Muggles, that nobody would learn anything from them, says Arcturus. Muggles are not that complicated, and really, they are very easy to control. I say, but explain with my experience in the Muggle world. When I was 15 years old, my grandfather established the Dovahkiin industrial empire in the Muggle world and put me in. I ran the company, while expanding it around the world. I hired several squibs on magical contracts and also recruited some Muggles with magical relatives under magical contracts, after taking over many industries. By then I set my eyes on the dark side of the Muggle world, and I established my domain in the underworld of the Muggle world. So my house, Dovahkiin, owns almost 60% of the world in light and 40% in darkness. The people in the room were puzzled, as he did not imagine that it was that easy to rule Muggle. Arcturus laughed. Ha ha, if Grindelwald and Dumbledore knew about this they would die of a heart attack. Ha ha ha. I think what happened with Grindelwald is that there was a lot of murder and fanaticism. Plus Dumbledore watched him with an eagle eye. The poor Grindelwald never knew Dumbledore's intentions until the end. I say. Drula breaks the mood in the room with the intention of changing the subject. Well, now I can be calm. You are perfect for my daughter. Certainly young witches will fall in love when they meet you, young Max, says Melania. Hearing his comment made me laugh, but I earned a pinch from a jealous young Bellatrix. Everyone laughed at that. I think there is much to do. First we must discreetly contact the neutral families and establish the magic city in secret. Then find a way to get involved as little as possible with Albus, and by the end of the war, gradually prepare a way to discredit him. I say in a serious tone. Your plan is pretty good and we can always fix him more, says Alphard, clearly felt more confident with being around smart people. I would like to invite my friend Abraxas Malfoy this alliance. He would like to participate in the downfall of Albus, says Archerus, but I will only tell you a little information, since I do not know how your heir is involved in this matter. Sissy responds to tell her great-uncle Archerus what she discovered. Lucius has been in contact with the Half-Blood. He has donated many galleons to his cause, and since he did not finish school, he has not joined. But he was already brainwashed with the cause of the Mestizo and was quite involved with the propaganda of blood supremacy. I think I must warn Abraxas before a misfortune happens, says Archerus with a regrettable tone. Certainly, young Malfoy should be spoken to in the presence of his father, so that he can straighten him on the right path, I say, but I also said seriously, but if he cannot correct him, unfortunately I will make sure to bring down his noble house. Certainly, I agree, I would be one less enemy, says Orion. Well, I think that is enough for today. Besides, I am somewhat married and it is better to rest, since tomorrow will be another hard day for me. If you allow me, I am going to go to my room to sleep, since it is quite late and tomorrow, I must claim an inheritance, I say. I stand up and walk towards my room, but I noticed a young Bellatrix following me, and with a smile I kept walking. On the way to the room it was quite quiet. I open the door and enter, leaving the door open. I prepare to ambush my prey. Bellatrix goes through the door and I pounce on her, giving her a hug from behind, and I say in her ear sensually, "Did you come for more punishment from your husband?" Bellatrix with a mischievous smile, "If I came for more punishments from my husband, and what are you going to do about it?" I quickly kiss her and close the door, placing a protective barrier and also a silent barrier. I start to kiss her intensely. With my hands, little by little I begin to touch her body, hearing moans here and there. Without realizing it, I was in front of the bed. I quickly threw her on the bed and took off my tunic, leaving only my pants, showing him my muscles and abs. I watch Bella, who has her gaze fixed on my abs. "Do you like what you see, dear wife?" I tell him. With a smile and without giving her the opportunity to respond, I began to kiss her here and there, moving my restless hands gently over her body, and little by little I took off her clothes. Discreetly I began to kiss and lick her feminine parts. With a sensual whisper I say, "You like your husband to kiss you and touch you, right, Bellatrix?" Bella didn't answer me, her eyes were hazy, and so I kissed her more intensely. Little by little the temperature of the room rose. You could hear small sensual and exciting moans. And the night was young, it promised desire and surrender. To be continued. Comment. 13 comments. Vote. Chapter 9. Chapter 9, The Great Wizarding Gringotts Bank. Chapter 9, The Great Wizarding Gringotts Bank. Point of view of a young reporter. Today, the 8th of April, 1969, was my 4th week of intern work at the newspaper The Prophet, and I was in Diagon Alley, looking for a story that would lead me to fame. I had heard rumors of a certain Lord Voldemort who calls himself Dark Lord, but I knew that I could not write about that, and today my reporter sense was screaming that there was incredible news waiting for me, so I transformed into my animagus form. Wait for my victim to arrive. I observe that the Floonet fireplace flickers in flames, and that means the person you come is very powerful, or several people come at the same time. In green flames came a man with a white magician's robe adorned with gold and silver accessories. His sense of fashion was very extravagant, but he had his charm and elegance: golden hair, golden eyes like the purest gold, skin healthy white and a great body on top that makes him look like other average men. He looked around as if searching for enemies in the area. On a separate note, he looked very sexy, and then he started walking towards the Gringotts, so I followed him carefully. But I felt that I had met him, but did not remember where I had seen, and what does it matter, this reporter knows many people. Max's point of view. When I arrived at Diagon Alley, it was what a stagnant place in the past awaited me, and I looked around because I felt that they were watching me, but I did not notice anything. I walked to the Gringotts, and almost at the doors I noticed 2 goblin guards. Greetings in the language of the goblins. Greetings, friends. May the blood of your enemies flow in rivers of blood, and gold flow in abundance to your vaults. The 2 goblins look at me in surprise, because I speak their language, and I also greeted them according to their tradition and customs, but I put my personal touch when saying it, since it is useful to be a philosopher teacher, if you cannot use it. One goblin answered me, greetings, magician. May the bodies of your enemies fall under the edge of your sword, and may there never be a lack of gold in your vaults. It seems that it was new, because they did not recognize the emblem of my noble house Dovahkiin Inn, and I walked past the entrance, without stopping to see the sign. Walking over to the main cashier manager, I realized I knew him from my body memories and waited patiently in line. There were many people at Gringotts today. Then it was my turn. With a smile I say aloud, but in the language of the goblins, Ragnok, my friend, who is eating these days that you are so fat, and how is your wife? May the blood of your enemies flow in rivers of blood, and the gold flow in abundance towards your vaults. Ragnok looked at me puzzled, since he had not seen me in about 4 years, but he quickly recognized me. When probing him with legilimency, I saw that he was thinking, the shameless bastard has returned and I must hide my money from him. Ragnok, and with a sinister smile, says to me, you have a lot of courage to return, after you cheat me 100,000 G, you bastard. That the bodies of let your enemies fall under the edge of your sword, and may there never be a lack of gold in your vaults. I watched Ragnok half angry and half happy. Come on man, it was only 100,000 G, also I sent you a letter so that you could get double it in investments, and surely you did. Ragnok observes that there are people behind me who were puzzled, wondering who the mad wizard was who spoke the language of the goblins. Ragnok speaks in common language, and just for that, I don't hold a grudge against you. And what can I do for you, Max the Dragon Tyrant? Surely you didn't come to greet me. I laughed out loud and said I came to speak with the account manager of my Casa Noble, and if you have time we can have a fight. That way I help you lose a couple of kilos, and then we honor our ancestors, with the best liquor than the money can buy, and whoever loses pays. When probing him with legitimacy, I saw that he was thinking, this bastard has not changed anything, he already wants to rip me off money and liquor. Ragnok with a laugh and a smile tells me, ha ha, you will not cheat me another galleon, bastard, and also who in his sane mind would fight you? I'd have to spend more galleons on healers after fighting you, and they aren't cheap. He, always with the theme of galleons and gold, that's why wizards don't like goblins, but they are loyal friends for life. But only if you manage to earn their respect. I laugh at his comment. Oh, the great Ragnok 7, he's afraid of a fight. Now my eyes have seen everything, and I remember that years ago you always looked for me to beat you up, and even thanks to me, you met your beautiful wife from so many healing sessions and cures. When probing them with legilimency, I saw that he was thinking of, this bastard, better get him out of line quickly or my reputation will fall through the ground because of him. Ragnok tells another goblin, Yorog, go and take Tyrant Dragon to Gornuk's office. Ragnok looked into my eyes and said, putting the jokes aside, my friend, it's good to see you, and if you have time come by my house, my wife will cook you a couple of dishes that will leave you with your mouth open. He got up and stretched his hand to grab my forearm, and I took his, This is the salute of honor in the Goblin Nation, which means eternal friendship. Ha ha, now I realize why you are so fat, with a beautiful wife who cooks delicious culinary dishes for you, and you must be the envy of your colleagues, I tell him with a knowing smile. Ha ha, you're certainly right, and all these ungrateful bastards, they envy me at lunch, my friend, ha ha ha, says Ragnarok. Many goblins laughed at his comment, and so did I. While in the crowd, he had never seen any goblin laugh and was always very serious and strict in his work. Well, my friend, I hope to see you again. May your enemies pile up on mountains of corpses and gold always pile up on huge mountains, and may prosperity come to your progeny and your descendants. I tell him in a firm and deep tone. Ragnarok is made to cry hearing my blessing. Many goblins attended my farewell and blessing, to which Ragnarok responded with emotion, it is an honor to be your friend, great tyrant. May you never find enemies in the world that you cannot defeat, and may eternal wealth be yours, my friend. With a simultaneous smile we both hit each other twice on the chest. We said at the same time, so be it for eternity. One couple of screams from a few excited goblins. I followed the young goblin Rog to my account manager's office, and upon entering I see an old goblin was a great friend of my grandfather. I greeted him. Greetings, Grandfather Gornuk. May the blood of your enemies flow in rivers of blood, and may the gold flow in abundance to your vaults. I say, excited. With a smile, he saw me as if he was looking at a grandson. Gornuk places his hand on his chin and says, I see you have not changed your way of adding something to our goblin salute. May the bodies of your enemies fall under the edge of your sword, and may there never be a lack of gold in your vaults. You know, grandfather, you always have to go with time and adapt to changes, I say in a philosophical way. Gornuk with a laugh says, ha ha, you are right, young tyrant, we are here today for you to accept the dragon's ring, and we have also already made all the requests you asked us, with a small cost in galleons, of course. He hands me the dragon ring, which was a small red dragon and gold and silver ornaments. I put it on my finger, and what happened was that the little dragon in the ring bit my finger, and it was automatically placed on my finger. I see the old goblin's smiling face and tell him, I also want you to build a great city, in the great Ridvia Valley of my family, and all the explanations are these papyri. I also want you to put these protections, I myself will activate it with my magic. I also want you to establish a small branch there. On the other hand, I give 20% to Gringotts of the profits we generate, and also to ask for the help of the goblins to manage it. Gornuk asks cautiously, and why is this unusual request? A war is coming, and I want to avoid the unnecessary loss of the magicians, I say with confidence and seriousness. Gornuk looks at me seriously and sighs. Explain to me why you think he is going to see a war, young tyrant. I start to explain everything to the old goblin. He certainly seemed concerned and alarmed by what I discovered. I hope you can return in 2 weeks. I want you to discuss your findings with the Goblin King and the Cornflowers of the Council. I can promise you that my old bones will be with you in your cause, says Gornuk. Thanks, Grandpa, I would like some time alone to review these documents, I say. The old goblin leaves the room without saying anything. But nevertheless, no one noticed that there was a little blue beetle listening to the whole conversation. Comment. 5 comments. Vote. Chapter 10, Big Investments and a Young Rita. Chapter 10, Big Investments and a Young Rita. The Gringotts Place. Point of view, Max. Well, here I am reviewing many overdue debts with the ministry, which accumulate about 90 million galleons, and no wonder the bastards want me to pay so urgently, that to be honest I would do everything possible to get paid. I also see an old loan of over 300 million galleons, which my grandfather had lent to the ministry after the Grindelwald War, and that means, the bastards from the ministry owe me galleons. If I play my cards right, this could be worth more than galleons, and there could even be favors, and there were also some debts from various noble houses owed to House Dovahkiin. Now I look at the investments of the noble House Dovahkiin. Many have gained many galleons and others not so much, and in others they have lost galleons, but it is within my calculations of the long-term investment. You just have to give some intrusions here and there, and I will surely win a lot. Now I set my eyes on properties, which buy all over the world, be it magical or muggle, and let me tell you that my family owns 13 islands, many castles and mansions, buildings and businesses. I also bought almost all of Diagon Alley and all the dirty Nocturne Alley stores. It will take a lot of money to remodel everything. I also came up with an idea to do a private school, ha ha ha. This would make old Albus lose a lot of gullible sheep, ha ha ha, just seeing his face would be great. Suddenly I felt a very weak presence, and I really realized that I had let my guard down. I realized that I am being watched since I arrived at Diagon Alley. Setting my alarms to maximum and simulated, I begin to scan the room with my magic, finding a small blue beetle on the back of my desk snooping my documents. I couldn't help but smile as I knew her from my childhood. You know, Rita, it's rude to snoop on your husband's documents, I tell her. The little beetle shuddered a lot. It was quite funny to see it shaking. Aren't you going to reveal yourself? I ask him with a serious look. When I probed her with legitimacy, I saw that she was thinking about, how did she realize and how she knows my name, Rita thought, and she transforms into a sexy blonde with green eyes and says, "Who are you? How do you know my name? I am not your wife. I have a fiancé that my father agreed to in a marital contract with his friend, and that I would marry his son Maximilian. True, she is my first fiancé, established by my late father, and not that I'm complaining, as Rita is quite sexy." With a smile I stood up from my chair and walked towards her, speaking. "How sad, I thought you remembered me. You always said that you would be a great journalist, and I never thought you would write about your husband's activities." A still puzzled Rita looked at me, and seeing her so puzzled, I asked her, "You don't remember me, do you? Let me ask you, what is your fiancé's name?" When probing her with legilimency, I saw that he was thinking of, "This man is very cheeky and apparently we know each other, but I don't remember him," Rita thought, and replied with a loving smile, "My fiancé is called Maximilian Stephen Dovahkiin." "Well, at least you know my name, and you've grown a lot, Rita. You look very pretty and sexy," says Max. But he thought, "Certainly, you look incredibly beautiful, and I'm already looking forward to conquering your body." When I probed her with legitimacy, I saw that she was thinking about, "That can't be, my dear boyfriend has already arrived in the country and I didn't know anything," Rita thought, and puzzled question, "Wait. Are you my boyfriend, but isn't your name Max?" She is quite clueless, when she wants to be, she thought, and said with a smile, "Max for friends, and now you want to explain to me what you are doing here. How much did you hear?" When I probed her with legitimacy, I saw that she was thinking, "Oh no. Now she has a bad impression of me. Rita, you must give everything and not disappoint your fiancé," Rita thought, and somewhat embarrassed says, "Listen all honey, but do not worry husband, I am not a fool, and besides I want to be your wife and I cannot ruin my husband. What are we going to eat if I do that? Most shameless girl, I will have to punish her, I think," and stand in front of Rita. I stretch my left hand towards her waist and bring her closer to me, and with my right hand take her chin so that she looks into my eyes. Doing that, I kiss her in the act. Then I drop her and walk to the desk where the documents were, sitting like a king, and I say mischievously, "Just for that, you deserve a kiss." When I probed her with legilimency, I saw that she was thinking, "Oh Bimelin, my boyfriend kissed me and I'm not fantasizing about it, he, what would my ex-roommates say? If they knew that I have a handsome and rich boyfriend they would surely die of envy," she thought Rita. She was very happy and says, "Max, you became very attractive, you know, he. What can I say, I think I got very good nutrition," I say cheekily. "You have to help me, husband, your wife wants to be a famous journalist, you know," Rita says, but with a sexy and seductive tone. She was clearly flirting with me. "I can help you, but with a couple of conditions," says Maximum. "Which, husband?" Rita says, already excited. "Let the news be your husband. I want him to announce that the world dueling champion and famous bounty hunter has just arrived in the country. Max the Dragon Tyrant, the most powerful magician of the new generation, and of course you can put your personal touch on him and glorify me, but do not divulge anything that exposes us," I say. Rita jumps up and sits on my lap giving me a kiss and says, he, "I will, my husband Max." Rita kisses me again and runs out of the room, clearly excited to have good news to write. Gornuk with a smile says, "Oh, the youth these days, Max, I think you knew your childhood girlfriend." When I heard him I laughed, but with a half-serious smile I asked him, "Ha, could you get the calculations of the materials and labor that this magical city cost me?" Grandpa Gornuk: "Yes, young tyrant, estimate that you will spend 2.5% of your personal vault," says Gornuk. "I want it to be built in less than 6 months. I also want to build a gigantic stadium for Quidditch matches or duels," I tell him in a tone of order. "Are you sure, boy?" "I don't see any benefit in this," Gornuk asks, but probing him with legilimency I saw that he was thinking of, "Certainly many galleons will go to waste. I don't see any benefit, much less any use for this waste of galleons." "That's because you don't know anything, Grandpa Gornuk," I say in a mocking and sarcastic tone. Gornuk says in a curious tone, "Oh, why don't you enlighten this old fool, oh great tyrant?" With a smile as if I enlightened a disciple I say, "You know that in the Muggle world there is a famous game called soccer. This game is very similar to Quidditch in the fanaticism of its fans, and what makes this industry earn a lot money is food, drink, clothes with the names of their favorite players, etc." Gornuk was clearly still in doubt and asked, "I still don't understand, how does that relate to merchandise?" Ha, this old man never imagined that there is such a way, and I imagine that in the future others will realize it, but I will be the owner of the industry for that moment. With a patient smile he explains, "Imagine it like this. You are the owner of a company that sells the merchandise that I mentioned, and you were able to establish your store right in front of the stadium, which by chance that same day an important game of Quidditch is played. After the game a cheerful crowd of dupes comes out, ready to spend all their money on all your merchandise, and now tell me, Grandpa Gornuk, you don't think it is an incredible way to make money without doing anything?" When probing him with legilimency I saw that he was thinking of, "Oh, for the gold Merlin, so there was such a way to earn easy money," Gornuk thought and said in a joking tone, "Oh mighty tyrant. In all my years of old age I had never heard of such a magnificent way to earn money, and the Gringotts will accompany you in this magical city of yours, little tyrant. Sometimes I feel that you are the goblin and I am the human." Certainly sometimes I think so too. However, I love being rich. There may be honesty in poverty, and living honestly may be honest, but I feel that I can face 95% of my problems being rich and the other 5% left over. It can be solved using violence, I tell him with a smile. Since I thought that the world turns according to wealth, if you are poor then you work to survive with a couple of coins, and if you are very rich then you live a comfortable life. Ha, big words, and I also like to live in wealth, says Gornuk. Well, it's time for me to go to the ministry. I want to speak with Minister Eugenia Jenkins to pay my costs and get my loans back. I also want you to collect from the noble house that they owe to my noble house Dovahkian, and the Gringotts will get 8% of what we raise and 2% to have a great retirement of old age, Grandfather Gornuk, I tell him with a smile. When probing him with legilimency, I saw that he was thinking about, how stupid are those guys from the ministry to want to mess with this young tyrant, Gornuk thought, and with a laugh he said, Jojo, what a generous young tyrant. Don't worry, we'll charge in the old style of the noble house Dovahkian, and we will collect the galleons at high speed. With a smile he says also, if you find a noble house that sells its properties or shares, buy everything under a second name and then transfer it to my noble house Dovahkian, goblin style, ha ha ha. When probing him with legilimency, I saw that he was thinking about, the young tyrant has grown up, and if only old Maximus could see him, he would surely be proud, thought Gornuk, and with a laugh he replied, ha ha ha, of course, young tyrant. When I get up, I take the bills and documents to pay my debts, but with a smile I am going to give the ministry a bad day. Comment. 8 comments. Vote. Chapter 11,